You've hit a brick wall. You've been trying everything to consistently stay focused, do the things that you should in your business, but nothing's worked. Do you feel that way when you're building a business, that you're stuck and can't make progress, can't break through, hitting a plateau? You've literally tried everything possible. You know what you should do, you know what you need to do, but you're still stuck in taking action. Listen, I want to talk about this because this is something that a lot of people experience but don't realize that it's very common. Where when you know what you should do, you're not taking the actions that it takes. And many times we have a culture that is against people that do this, that's very critical, that's very condescending, that is rude and kind of not understanding of the fact that you can know what you need to do and still get stuck doing it. You can know all of the right actions. You can have all the knowledge of doing it, but when it goes and comes time to step out and take that action, you get stuck. If you're experiencing this, the biggest way to break through from this is to give yourself grace to take imperfect action. And this comes from a worry and fear that many times, this has been in my experience, we're trying to not get in trouble, we're trying to not waste a bunch of time, we're trying to not do it wrong, we're trying to not make mistakes, and so we put that whole don't make mistakes, don't get in trouble, don't do the wrong thing up here in front of actually taking action. And so we just need to rearrange that. We need to put taking action in front of that fear and worry of doing it all wrong and take imperfect action. This can be difficult though, because if you grew up in your life, many times we find that this connects back to childhood. That if you had critical parents that were telling you that you have to do things, maybe you have to take care of your siblings and be a good example to everybody. Maybe you need to make sure that you support everybody, and you've gotten in trouble maybe in a workplace environment where if you didn't do everything perfectly, you didn't look perfect to everybody, that things didn't go well and you got punished. This fear of punishment, this fear of losing everything, this fear of everything hitting the fan and everything coming and crashing and burning if you don't do everything perfectly. This is usually the root cause of this, when you know what you should do but you don't do it. It's not laziness. It's really not. And that's what we've been told, is that it's just because you're lazy. It's just because you just don't have what it takes to do it. And that there's people that are better than you that can do it, that have done it. And if you were as good as them, then you would be doing it. Are these the patterns that you've been told and that you're telling yourself? This is many times what's told to us, but it's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. There's nothing that you don't have or that you will acquire one day for you to do this. All you have to do is make peace with the worry and fear and say, you know what? I'm okay with taking imperfect action. I'm okay with taking the best action right now, even if it's not perfect. I'm safe even if I take action and it's not exactly how I saw it in my head. That as long as I start taking that action, that it's okay, that I don't need to worry about getting in trouble, doing everything perfectly, and being a perfect example to everybody around me, that I can take action imperfectly and that it's perfectly okay. That the perfect thing to do is to take imperfect action. And this is the belief that is usually at the core of this. It's a belief that if I take imperfect action, things are going to go bad for me, and that I have to become somebody I'm not to take action, that I have to be somebody different to start to take action, and that those people are the ones that can take imperfect action, but I haven't earned the right yet to do that. Listen, today is the day for you to start to take imperfect action, to have grace and to give yourself grace, and to know that, listen, it's okay if I make mistakes. It's okay if I learn in an environment where I can grow and get better inside of me. We get worried about looking stupid to people. We get worried about how we appear, and so we don't take action because we're prioritizing looking good, not making a mistake, not being perfect, not getting in trouble, not doing the wrong thing, above even taking the steps forward to learn and to grow. And we have to open ourselves up to being willing to learn what we don't know and to try something differently and to get out of our comfort zone. Our biggest comfort zone is when we know that we can do everything perfectly, when we know that nothing is going to go wrong. And so we're putting that on such a high level to do it all perfectly that we get down on ourselves when we make a mistake, when it doesn't go how we expected. Listen, I had an experience where I was working on the car and it didn't work out how I wanted it to. And I had a choice. I actually made the wrong choice. I could get down on myself for the rest of the night. I got down on myself last night until I realized, you know what? My worth, my value, who I am is not tied to if I'm getting this car working. And it's the same for you, whether it's making videos, whether it's creating a course, whether it's calling sales leads, whether it's building your business. Your worth and your value is not tied to the performance of what you do. And we have to break free from the performance as our value. Comparing ourselves and competing with what we see what other people are doing and giving ourselves the grace to take action at the best of our ability, to do our best. As Tony Horton says, I took the P90X course and he says this throughout the whole thing: do your best and forget the rest. Stop trying to figure out the stuff that you don't know just yet. You're going to have a time and a season and a process for you to do that in the future. We believe so often that we have to do everything perfectly for us to be good enough to go after our goals. And then if we don't, that we're a failure and a fraud. This is called the imposter syndrome. And I used to think that I didn't have the imposter syndrome, and then I realized, you know what? I got it worse than anybody else. I got it worse than everybody. That I'm trying to do everything perfectly, that I'm not putting any of my stuff out there to people and talking about these things if I don't feel like it's going to be perfect. In fact, even talking about this topic, I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers, but you know what? I know that this has helped me break free from this. I know over the last couple of months, giving myself grace to take imperfect action, to put things out there, to step out, to keep the needle moving forward, to keep doing things, and to learn along the way, to embrace the lessons of mistakes. Many times we feel like I don't have the luxury to make a mistake, and that's a complete lie. It really is. And that's the root issue there, is why do you not feel like you have the luxury to make mistakes? And many times it's tied to an experience where we haven't made peace with a situation where we were angry and critical with ourselves, where we made a big mistake and everything fell apart. And so we're trying to make sure that that doesn't happen again, that everything doesn't fall apart again. And so we're telling ourselves, I got to do it perfectly this time. I'm here to tell you, you learned lessons from that mistake in the past. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made. And start to take action in the areas that you know that you need to do. If you're stuck, if you're hitting a brick wall in your business, if you're having trouble taking any action whatsoever, we have to look at what is the story I'm telling myself about what happened in the past. What am I believing? And how is that influencing my current actions and keeping me from stepping forward and taking any action? This is what I talk about a lot of times with my clients that I coach with, that I consult, when I hop on the phone with people for 15 minutes. We got people that I work with, super hyper successful. They've made millions of dollars before, and yet they still have that imposter syndrome about them in these areas. You'd never think they would talking to them. But it's because of a failure that they had in the past. They're thinking, listen, I can't fail that way ever again. And maybe you're still in that place where you're like, I can't ever fail that way again. Listen, I'm here to tell you this. You're not going to fail that way again because you're not the same person you were then. You learned lessons. Give yourself a pat on the back and appreciate yourself that you learned, and have confidence in those lessons that you learned, and start to take steps forward with what you know that you need to do, and start to look at, okay, what don't I know? What do I need to learn? Maybe I need to get a coach and a mentor to help me in these areas that I don't know how to do. We have to also not prioritize just looking good as our biggest priority, but rather taking action. Many times we're afraid to take any action because we don't want to look bad. And that becomes our biggest reason to not take any action. And then we realize, you know what? After you take the action, that's not that bad anyways. We're so critical of ourselves on how we look. And many times this is tied to how critical we are of other people, or we've had other people in our lives be very critical of us, of how we look. And so we're spinning those stories in our heads of the words that they said, trying to not repeat the pattern of the past. Let go of those experiences. Forgive those people. Forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made, and take steps forward to start to get unstuck and move forward. The reason why most people are so stuck is because they have not come face to face with their past. They haven't come face to face with forgiving those situations, letting go of those messages that have been spinning in their mind for years and years and years, whether it's from a teacher, from an old boss, from a parent, from a grandparent, from an aunt, from an uncle, whatever that is. Or maybe it's just ourself, how we're talking to ourselves. And we're being so critical and thinking that I have to be that critical because that's what's gotten me this far. Listen, you're stuck. The reason you're stuck is because you have to let go of the reins, just a little bit of that criticalness, and start to give yourself grace to learn what don't you know. Start to give yourself grace to try something new, even if it's scary, to step a little bit outside your comfort zone, just a little bit today, and to see what happens. To see, listen, it's not going to come crashing and burning like last time. I'm not going to lose everything like I did last time. We're so much focused on avoiding the pain of our past in our present moment. So we're bringing that past pain into the present experience, and we're actually projecting and manifesting that fear of what we're trying to avoid into our present reality, and that's why we stay stuck. Because as long as we stay stuck, we're never going to manifest that past pain. That past is never going to happen as long as we don't do anything. We know this. We have certainty of this. And so the uncertainty is that, maybe it does not go perfectly this next time that I do it. Maybe it does not manifest perfectly the next time that I put something out there. And we have to be okay with the fact that it might not fully work out, but we can expect the best. We can have hope for the best. And we can detach ourselves from the outcome needing to be what we saw for us to take any action forward. To give yourself grace to grow, to learn, to do your best, forget the rest, and grow your life and push forward. It's not about pushing yourself as far as I have to strive, but it's actually letting go of that striving and just having faith in the process. Having faith to get up in the morning, to press record on that video, to make that sales call, to write that blog post, to make that graphic, to call that contractor, whatever your thing is, having faith that as long as I keep this process, I can go forward. And if you want somebody that can help you, that's been there before, that's helped people grow and build businesses 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures along the way, and knows the sticking points that most people run into, I'd love to help you with that. That's what I do with my coaching. We can hop on the phone for 15 minutes to talk about this. And then what I do with people when I coach with them is we hop on the phone for an hour on Zoom. We hop on a Zoom call. And we just go over these things. I help them with their copywriting, with their messaging, with their marketing, with the confidence, with growing in the confidence to take action so that they know for certain that it's going to work and that it's going to get results. So I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to work with you through that, with whatever your thing is that you're working on, so that you can start to get those goals and start to get unstuck to move the needle forward in your life and your business. So grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.